Islam, the takedowns were far too easy.
Do we say that it's a JDM's fault, or do we say that Islam is just that good?
Whatever it is, that is not championship quality. I'm not here to kick a man while he's down, but there was so many red flags in that fight for me.
What was going through your mind watching Islam do what he did in such a dominant fashion?
Frustration. I think it was frustration. Not that I had a dog in the fight. Frustration from what I was seeing from JDM. First off, let me just say, I could not have been more wrong about the picks. I was completely wrong about two major things. I underestimated Islam's ability to do what he did at 155, going up a weight class at 170, being not the bigger man anymore, and still having that ability, which he very much showed that he did. The other thing, the more overwhelming thing to me that frustrated me during the fight was I overestimated the ability of JDM having Craig Jones and Alexander Volkanovski in his corner and what they would bring in terms of just being able to not stifle the takedowns, but be a step ahead of him completing a takedown and frustrating Islam being able to get back up somewhat that Alexander Volkanovski was able to do in their first matchup. I thought we would see a trickle effect of that against a bigger man, and it would start to frustrate Islam. The takedowns would start to get a little more effort involved, and he wouldn't have the success. And I thought by the third or fourth round, you would start to see the tide turn. We didn't see that at all. What we saw was a guy that did not wrestle, did not grapple at all, and he worked on sweeps. He worked on jiu-jitsu. It was a jiu-jitsu sweep match from JDM rather than just getting up off the ground or sprawling and stuffing the head and all those type of things. Now, it's easier said than done against somebody like Islam. But if you notice during the fight, JDM was in a half guard on his back. He had Islam in his half guard the majority of the fight, and he kept trying to fight that wrist, that left wrist of Islam, and he kept trying to thread his head through it. That's called the octopus sweep, right? And it's something that got very popular in the last year or two. Paul Craig is a master at it. Paul Craig does it. I've been training it for about a year now. I'm pretty low percentage. There's some guys that do it. If you're not a black belt at this move, if this is not your go-to sweep, you are probably not going to get it on somebody like Islam Makhachev. And yet he kept going for it and going for it and going for it. And it really frustrated me because he not only was just going for only that sweep rather than kind of going old school Chuck Liddell, just get an underhook, get a hand on the ground and get the hell up. But he kept trying to do that relentlessly. And then he wasn't even stuffing the takedowns. I mean, I think DC had a point on the Illustrator or maybe spoke about it after that Islam was getting in so deep on the double legs, he was getting his hands together. I mean, you don't normally see that. You normally have guys sprawling and spreading their legs, and you just trying to pull on the back of the knees. Islam, the takedowns were far too easy. But even from the beginning, I just don't think tactically he was in the right mindset. He took 3 or 4 leg kicks to the calf unchecked in the first 30 seconds. And I don't know why he didn't address that right away. He didn't, not only, a lot of times they say check the kick, but from my experience, and I'm, more of a striker than a grappler inside the octagon, at least, all you have to do is you angle your toe out. Whatever directions the kick's coming, you angle your toe and it starts to hit the shin. You make small adjustments. Then if it's needed, you start picking up the leg and check it. He didn't make those small adjustments. He didn't address the kicks. He got behind on the kicks. After he started eating the kicks and getting taken down, he didn't want to punch anymore. It reminded me, Josh, it started to remind me of the Leon Edwards fight, where you have a corner imploring him, come on, man. How bad do you want this? Do you want to be a champion? Show me something. Give me something. And they could not pull it out of him, right? And obviously, Leon got that last round head kick. That was nowhere in sight for him. The other thing that really had me scratching my head was the facial expressions, and I know that was all over Twitter. He made these agonizing facial expressions like there was something wrong. I don't know if he was injured. I don't know if he just was uncomfortable with the positions, if he was trying so hard for those octopus sweeps and he was having no success and having to carry the weight of Islam. Whatever it is, that is not championship quality. I'm not here to kick a man while he's down, but there was so many red flags in that fight for me that told me JDM either went into this fight completely flat in the wrong headspace, or he isn't meant for that type of quality. Because to be just making those facial expressions alone, that's something that that persuades the judges. This fight needed no persuading in the eyes of the judges. But those are the type of small, subtle things that you get rid of early on in your career. He kept making mistakes tactically. Playing jiu-jitsu rather than wrestling wasn't there. He wasn't aggressive enough. I saw aggression in the first 15 seconds of the fight with the hands, and then I didn't see that again into the very last round. The entire in between of the fight, it was all Islam the entire time. He was dominant fashion. JDM was nowhere to be found. I was completely wrong. I mean, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be at all.
Yeah, I don't think anyone had it going this way. I thought that maybe like, hey, he'll control him on the ground, he'll get back up, he'll control him on the ground, he'll get back up, he'll get the takedowns. He's gonna have to fight hard for the takedowns because of the size. Ultimately, though, like I even thought, even I've trained with Islam. I was there the week, the week up or the week before. Like I was expecting more clinch work. I was expecting more foot sweeps, more inside trips, like those type of things in the clinch. Literally, there was no effort. He didn't need to.
He didn't need to.
Smashed a single, stood up with him, cross faced him right across the face, sat him to his butt in the very first takedown.
I don't think he stopped the takedown. Did he stuff a takedown the entire fight? There might have been some half sweeps that he kept his balance, but I don't think he had any success on the defensive side at all.
No. Look, do we say that it's a JDM's fault, or do we say that Islam is just that good? That's where I'm at right now. Like he came up and made the guy look that good. He's the current champion. Like he's been what, 9 fights in a row? He hadn't lost 9 fights in a row in the UFC. He hasn't lost since he's been in the UFC. Are we just not giving Islam the credit he deserves? I know everyone's gonna say, hey, like Islam gets all the credit, this and that, but people are not giving him the credit. Like he came up 15 pounds. It wasn't like he came up 10. He came up 15. That extra 5 is a lot.
And now I think what takes points away from Islam in terms of credibility amongst the viewers is the fashion that it happened. Though it was dominant, people weren't impressed, right? People were unhappy. If you're not seeing finishes, if you're not seeing damage, people are getting irritated with it. They want to see something more. This was one of those fights where I'm tuned into everything, but when you come off of a couple of haymaker knockouts and you go into a 5-rounder that's pretty dominant, it was kind of Chimaev versus what's it, the former champion?
DDP.
Yeah, DDP. Thank you very much. Not the most exciting, but if you're into grappling, we could appreciate it. And so I think that's where it comes. We talked about him being number 1 right now. I go back and forth with this, man. This is water cooler talk. This is an argument that each party is going to have a story. It's going to have a side. For me, it comes down to what have you done lately? This is a what have you done lately sport. And that's just the way it is, because one thing about Ilia Topuria, he's the cleaner fighter. He gets these devastating knockouts, and he's putting guys away. Guys that have never been knocked out, he's knocking them flat on their ass. And that gets points, right? But he's not fighting that frequently. Ilia Topuria is the guy that said he wants to maybe retire when he's around 32 in a couple of years. He's the guy that right now he's fighting once to twice a year. Islam is the guy that just fought, and he dominated a guy in a weight class up. So you bump him up above Ilia Topuria, I've got no problem with it, right? It's what have you done lately? If Ilia Topuria comes back and he fights the winner out of Arman and Hooker, or he goes up and he fights in welterweight, whatever he does, then he has a stake at the claim. But until you have done it, it's what have you done lately? And so I have no beef with Islam taking number 1 slot.